negative 24a minus 16m. Well, we want to take, so there's two answers, or two ways you can do this. So you factor out a positive number, which in this case is 8. Then, think about it, we need to get negative 24, so that has to be negative 3a. And then minus 8 times, that's what you would get. And that makes sense, right? Because positive times a negative is a negative. And then positive times this negative gives you negative 16. So that's one way, one answer. The other way is if you take out negative 8 outside. Well, if you take out negative 8 outside, negative 8 times what will give you a negative number. So that has to be positive 3a. And then our second term has to be negative, so you're going to put a plus, and it's 2m again. So again, negative times a positive gives you a negative. Negative times this positive is going to give this negative. So it really depends, and you can notice that if you take out a positive, your factor outside is positive, so everybody remain the same, right? So it's negative 24, negative 16, so the terms remain the same. Now, if you take out a negative 8, then notice that this and this are the opposites of this, right? It becomes the opposite. So the choice is yours. 49 m5y, 21m4 plus 14m6y3. I'll take the greatest common factor, so in this case it's going to be 7, and I can do this. So there are 5 m's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you don't have to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 y's. Sorry, those look like n's. Now, what do they share in common? Well, we took out the greatest common factor, and we're going to take out the greatest number of m's that they share. So there's 5 m's, 4 m's, and 6 m's. They share 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they all have m4th in it. How about the y's? Do they share the y's? No, because the middle term here doesn't have a y, so we're not going to touch that. So the factor outside is 7 and 4. Left over. Well, it's going to be times 7. There's 1 m and 1 y. Double check. 7 times 7 is 49. M 4 times m is m5th. And then y is there. Minus, well, 7 times 3. And then that's it. 7 times 3 is 21. And m4 is just m4. Plus, well, 7 times 2. And how many m's do we have left over? 2 m's. And how many y's? 3 y's. Double check. 7 times 2 is 14, m4 times m2 is m6, and y3 is there. Negative 12p3, 20p, 18p squared y minus 12, 20p4. So I personally like to take a positive factor outside, which means then that I don't have to worry about changing signs. So this has 3 p's, by the way. This has 1 p. This has 2 p's and a y. This one has 4 p's. Well, greatest common factor looks like 2. Not 3, not 4, so it's a 2. What do they have in common in terms of variables? Well, they all have p's, and the greatest number of p's that they all share is 1. So there's 1 here, there's 1 here, there's 1 here, there's 1 here. So I take that out.
Please call the main office. Ms. Weisel, please call the main office.
Do they share y's? No, they don't. So, first one, 2p times what? 2 times what is 12 is times 6. How many p's left over? 2. 2 times what is 20 is 10. Any p's left over? No. 2 times what is 18 is 9, and then I have 1 p, 1 y left over. And then 2 times 10, and I have 3 p's left over. And you can do the discrete product again and confirm that we get our original expression. Okay? 25xy plus 15x minus 32x squared. Okay, so greatest common factor, yikes. Well, well, this one has an xy, this one has an x, and this one has 2x. As far as greatest common factor, the greatest common factor is 1. There's nothing else I can take that they share besides the 1. So, and do they share any variables? Yeah, they share the x. Right, so they share x, x, and an x. So 1 times what's 25xy would be just 25, this what variable? The y. And then here, oops, it would be 1 times what is 15 would be 15. And 1 times what's 32, which is 32, and don't forget there has 1x. And eventually we can come back here and erase that, and that would be your answer. So again, multiply that and see if you get the original expression, and you do. 100 minus 25d squared minus 50d. Okay, there's 2 d's here, there's 1 d over here, no d's over here. What do they share? What's the greatest common factor? The greatest common factor is 25. Do they share any variables? No, because this term doesn't have variables, so I don't have to worry about that. So 25 times what is 100? It's times 4. I get that. 25 times what is 25 is just 1. We're going to write 1 and how many d's? D squared. So eventually come back and erase the d. And finally, 25 times what is 50 is 2. And how many d's? 2 d's. Confirm. 25 times 4 is 100. 25 times d squared is 25d squared. And 25 times 2d is 50d. 2p4r minus 8p3r2 plus 16p2r3. Alright. What do they share? What's the greatest common factor? It's 2. There's 4 p's here. 1 r, 3 p's, 2 r's, 2 p's, 3 r's. What are they? How many? Do they share any p's? Yes, they share 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So they each share. They each have 2 p's in common. R's, you have 1 r here, 1 r here, and 1 r here. So they all have 1 r in common. So that's what I take out. Now, let's find the terms inside. 2 times what is 2 is 1. And how many p's left over? 2 p's and no r's. So if you multiply 2 times 1, you get 2. P squared times p squared is p4, and the r is there. Check. Minus 2 times what is 8 is times 4. And how many p's left over? There's 1 p and 1 r. Confirm. 2 times 4 is 8. P squared times p is p cubed, and r times r is r squared. Good. 2 times what is 16? Which would be 8. And then no p's left over, but we have 2 r's left over. 2 times 8 is 16. P squared is just p squared, and r times r squared gives me r cubed. Check. Negative 8a4b cubed minus 4a cubed b cubed minus 12a squared b cubed. Like I said, I prefer to leave the signs the same inside parentheses, and so I'm going to take a factor that's positive. Oh, let me write the a's. So I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I mean, you don't have to do this. If you want, you can. It helps. Greatest common factor is 4, right? And then how many a's do they have in common? They each have 2 a's. So I can take that out. How many b's do they all have? They all have 3 b's. Good. Makes life much easier. So 4 times what is 8? It's times 2. And how many a's are left over? 2 a's. So I'm going to write a squared. Confirm. 4 times 2 is 8. A squared times a squared is a4, and b cubed. Good. 4 times what is 4 is 1. And then 1a left over, and no b's. Confirm. 4 times 1 is 4. A squared times a is a cubed, and the b cubed is also there. Last one is a 3, and nothing. Right? I don't have to put any variables in because it's already here. 4 times 3 is 12. A squared b cubed, and that's my final answer. And if you just make it a little prettier, you can take that 1 over here and just write it like that. last question. No, second to last question. 9bc minus 6b cubed. Okay, right, there's 3 b's here, there's 2 b's here, there's a b and a c, there's a b and a c, c, c. That's minus, plus, plus, minus, and the greatest common factor is 1. And then do they share anything? Yeah, they each share b, 1b. I take that b and put it outside. Alright, so 1 times what is 6 is 6. How many b's? 2 b's. So just double check. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. B times b squared is b cubed. Good. 1 times what is 8 is 8. And how many b's left over? 8. 1 times what is 9 would be 9. And then we need a c because b is already here. And lastly, 1 times 6 again. And b is already there. And we need 3 c's, or c cubed. So again, you can definitely double check. And the only thing is, instead of that 1, we can just write b, right? Last question. 8abc minus 12ab plus 4ac minus 16a. That's abc, there's ab, this is ac, there's an a. Greatest common factor. Greatest common factor is 4. Okay, do they share any variables? Yes, they do. They share an a. They all share an a, so I'm going to take the a out. Now, we go back. 4 times 1 is 8, it's times 2. It's left over, bc. Confirm. 4 times 2 is 8, and then bc. Check. 4 times 1 is 12 is 3. What's left over is variable, it's b. That 4 times 3 is 12, and ab is ab. 8 times ab is ab. Next one, 4 times 1 is 4 is 1. And then variable left over is c. 1c, I'd rather write it as just c. Oops. And finally, 4 times what is 16 is times 4, and then the a's cross, so we don't have to write it. So 4a times c, first of all, is 4ac, good, and 4 times negative 4 is negative 16a. And that's it, and this is the expression. Okay, that's easy.